Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. We are here today on 95.1 FM on Radio Ramadan. Today, I'm pleased to inform you all that in the studio we have with us today Mr. Peter Soulsby, Lord Mayor, City Lord Mayor in Leicester. Welcome to Radio Ramadan, Peter.
Assalamu alaikum.
Well done. Peter is doing well. We have started the dawah process with Peter, and we have, I'm told, 26 and a half minutes with him only.
Unfortunately, he's somehow very cleverly got out of it.
Yeah, we're on the clock, brothers and sisters, so if you have any questions, you're going to move them in fast. And we also have in the studio with us Brother Dawood. He's going to be protecting us all, as I say, you know. Yeah. He's the security person here in the studio today. So, brothers and sisters, we all know Peter Soulsby. He was here long before I was at Leicester University. I came here in 1972 along with all the rest of my buddies from Uganda. And Peter was here.
I've been here 3 years by then. So
yeah, he was already
well established.
Well established. And in 1973, he became a councillor in the city centre, so I remember him well from the interactions he used to have with my elder relatives in the city, and it's a long journey. Peter, indeed, congratulations for all your achievements in the city. You got the passport before I did for Leicester City.
only just.
Yeah.
But it seems a long time ago now, but we've come a long way in those years. What is it, 40 odd years?
It's a long time, you know. Many of the people in Leicester were not even born.
I feel so young around these two.
That's right.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah.
So let's fire some questions.
Well, you know, Peter, we're not ready for the questions yet because we like to warm up, you know, with our listeners.
We've got
25 minutes.
We've already had the warm-up, actually.
Peter,
we've just had Mohammed, we've had Abdul, we've had Kirk. They've done the warm-up.
We've got, there's only one Peter. There's not two. Okay. In Leicester, there's only one Peter Soulsby, brothers and sisters. Now, Peter, second term as mayor.
Yes.
What an achievement, right?
Well, yes, it's. I've been leader of the council for a long time, but being mayor is a particular privilege because the difference is that when you're a council leader, you're just elected by the council, just leading a council. When you're mayor, you've got the job of actually leading the city and taking it forward. You're elected by the people of the city and responsible not just to the council but to the city, and it's a challenging job, but I'll tell you honestly, it's one I'm great privilege to be able to do.
And I know you're under fire from a lot of things and a lot of decisions that you make. I know, I hear a lot.
I mean, that's part of the job. I mean, you know, that goes with the job description, really. You know, the people are bound to have, but they know who to blame.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the difference.
Well, you can take it on the chin. You're a strong lad, ain't you?
Yeah, I'm doing my best.
I've had you in the boxing ring, so I know you're strong. So, you know, as far as your plans for Leicester, what's your next plans? What do you want to change?
Well, when I was elected 4 years ago, I said that Leicester really wasn't as proud of itself as a city. Leicester people weren't as proud of it as they deserved to be. We weren't as self-confident as we should be. And I think we've seen over the last 4 years, people are much more proud of Leicester, of its history, of course, but much more important in some ways of what it is today. You know, the fact that we are probably the most diverse city anywhere in Europe. And, of course, that makes us a city with enormous strength, you know, in that diversity. And I don't pretend for a minute that everything is always all right with all communities in the city, but we do things a lot better than anywhere else I know of.
Yeah.
So, of course, Peter, now I've seen a lot of work you've done in the city centre where we dropped the Belgrave flyover, we dropped the New Walk Centre, monuments in Leicester.
Telling me I'm pretty good at knocking things down.
And quite a lot has disappeared. Peter has put his foot down and boom, gone.
To be fair, as far as the flyover goes, I was against him on it. Yeah. I'm not going to lie to you. Actually now, because I go there every 2 minutes, I'm okay with it.
It's okay with it. Now, obviously, the demographics change, the traffic situation changes, and we have to go with the change, I suppose, Peter. Is that the view you take when you make these decisions?
I mean, I think, some people have sort of said, well, I'm anti-car, you know, and I want to make everything for pedestrians and cyclists. It just isn't the case. I recognise that in a modern city, you've got to have cars. People have got to be able to get in by cars. They've also got to have a good bus service. But it also is very important in a modern city that when they get into the city centre, it's a place they want to be, a place they want to do business, a place they want to work, a place they want to shop, and increasingly actually a place they want to live as well. So Actually, the city centre is pretty much the city shop window.
Yeah.
And it's important, it looks good. But it's also important that we do things across the communities in the city.
No.
And obviously, I was listening just as I was coming across here, talking about housing. You know, we're talking with Abdul, with Kirk and Mohammed, about housing in the city. And there's a job to be done with housing in the city, but there's also a job to be done with the schools in the city, because our young people, deserve to have decent education.
Of course, we have a big shortage of school, Peter and Dawood. In Leicester, we don't have enough schools for the inner city. Our population is growing here, and you know that recently that the Madni High School wanted to do the extension and build that establishment to take care of the added required in the population. We have so many students, they can't get in, and they don't have the premises available for that.
Yeah, it's true that, and particularly the need is for extra school places for the children just starting school. From 5 through 11, really. It's that primary phase, and we've got the real shortage. We've done a lot with the secondary schools.
Yeah, you have. I've seen.
We've rebuilt
like that many.
Almost completely every single secondary school in the city.
I know,
some are brilliant.
Yeah, some of them are awesome.
I was up at City Leicester College just last week. Yeah. Brilliant, really.
Yeah, I was up there.
I've been to Crown Hill, been to Judge Meadow, been into Rushmead. All these schools across the city completely rebuilt. But we've still got a job to do with the primary schools.
Do you find the influx of, I'm not going to say the word immigrants, what shall I use? The foreign
new arrivals.
Yes, the new arrivals that have hit Leicester. Do you find that is one of your biggest challenges? Because I know there are groups out there like Trek and whoever else that they deal with that kind of thing. Do you?
Well, we're talking about. I came to Leicester in the late 1960s, the early 1970s, and when there was all the problems in East Africa, and people were moving here then.
Yeah.
There were people here. I think it was disgraceful, but there were people here saying, "Look, Leicester can't cope with that. It's bad news." Now, actually, it's been incredibly good news for Leicester. As I was saying earlier on, it's one of the great strengths of every aspect of the life of this city has been made better by the fact that people have wanted to make their home here, bring up their kids here, and build their businesses here.
So
and I think that's still the case today. But, and this is the point, but that doesn't mean to say that it's not without its challenges.
But it's every group.
And new communities coming here raise challenges, and we've got to actually change those challenges into opportunities.
Well, everyone has to acclimatise to England, don't they, at the end of the day?
Yeah.
So do you work closely with the groups like Trek and all them other kind of groups?
Yes.
Because obviously they're on the ground level, aren't they?
But actually, I think actually there's no substitute for actually trying to talk directly with groups and to work and hear what they're saying.
Yeah.
And for them also hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because, I think it's quite right that we should say to new groups when they arrive here, well, look, there's opportunities here, but you've got to, cooperate and actually make. But
it's hard for them to find. I suppose it's hard for them to actually find out certain things, where to go.
It can be, and I think it's also the case that it is more difficult with groups who do not see themselves as coming here to stay for the long term.
Okay.
Who's just coming here for a year or so, and then perhaps going elsewhere, which was so different from what happened for those who came from East Africa or came from the Indian subcontinent to Leicester. They were coming here to make their future here.
Yeah, that's right.
Not just for
a
temporary stay.
Yeah.
And that is sometimes something that you want people to realise that they may say they're just staying for a couple of years, but actually the chances are they'll stay for the lifetime, and therefore you want them to commit for the lifetime.
Yeah.
Of course, Peter, now I'm going to touch upon some very prominent subjects which are overruling the media at the moment. The media seem to be concentrating more on Islamophobic issues, and now we are here 1.8 million in the country, right?
Yes.
And we need to sort of understand the complexity of the situation and the impact it has upon us law-abiding British citizens who are living here now for over 50 years almost. And Peter, you know that me and Dawood here is eating fish and chips 3 times a week, right? So who can question us as not being British,
absolutely,
right?
Absolutely.
Now, where the indigenous population has gone over to the curry,
Yeah, no, that's right.
Me and Dawood is like, we cannot go without fish and chips.
Actually, I'm quite good at food. I eat all kinds of food. I've spread myself.
But that's one of the brilliant things about Leicester is you can eat all kinds
you
of
actually
food.
can.
It's all on offer.
Where we're coming from is that not enough positive things.
The serious point, yes, and there is a serious point behind your question. I mean, obviously we can laugh about that aspect of it, but there is a serious point that there are aspects of the media that have tried to use some of the things that have happened elsewhere.
I was going to bring this up with you. I was going to ask you, how do you control? Do you actually have a say?
No, and I wish, that sometimes, you were able to say to the media, just act responsibly. But
surely you as the Lord Mayor have a response, because at the end of the day, the book falls at you. So surely you should be able to go to the Leicester Mercury and say, all right, from now on, you don't print it in such a manner.
Actually, I'm not always, fair to the Leicester Mercury.
No, I'm not knocking them.
No, I know you're not. But I'm just going to say, actually, I know what the Leicester Mercury used to be like 30 or 40 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was dreadful, right? I know that over the years they've become much more responsible and much more balanced in the way in which they present the positives of all of the communities of Leicester, but of course particularly we're talking about the Muslim community in Leicester in this context. And the Mercury is not irresponsible at all in the way it does it. What actually is the case is that it is the national media, particularly the national papers, that look for stories that play to an Islamophobic agenda.
I wouldn't just say it was a Muslim thing, because it works both ways, doesn't it? Because they're doing it against, it's like a white Muslim thing, isn't it? The way that I'm looking at it.
Yeah, but there are some aspects of the national
print
media. Yeah, that is terrible. And it looks for stories, and it gives every story that it can an Islamophobic slant. And that is what is particularly distressing. I'm not
at the end of the day, you're the Lord Mayor of Leicester, so you know the problems. So when they create these problems within Leicester, and it happens when the EDL came.
But what I can do is, at a local level, is to try to present the reality of the life that we have in our city and the reality of the Muslim communities of Leicester, which is, as you quite rightly say, a reality that contributes to every aspect, and very positively to every aspect of the life of this city. The business life of this city, the political life of this city. I mean, we just had 3 Muslim politicians on talking, right? They are an important part of the governance of this city, and every other aspect of the life, and everything through from the cuisine, the food you can get in the restaurants, through to the business life, through to the politics of the city, is all positively influenced.
Well, I like that word positive, because that's the theme of the Radio Ramadan throughout the 30 days that we have the license for is positive.
Absolutely.
And that is why, Peter, if you are talking our language, then I want you to say to the whole of Leicester, together everyone achieves more success.
Well, together everyone does achieve more success.
How's that?
And for that as your theme, it is absolutely brilliant. And I have been listening to Radio Ramadan, and I've heard that theme a lot. We
hit a few other notes, but positive is the main thing.
But it's worth keeping coming back to that, actually, and re-emphasising that, as you have been.
We are working very hard to tell all our listeners out there in the Muslim community that we are working together as much as we possibly can, and we would like to engage with you and for you to understand what we are doing, so we can build mountains together, because we have a lot of work to do with our youngsters in the community, in the inner cities, and apart from the city centre, what you are doing there, you're doing a lot of good work there. We also have the city centre.
I just think it's worth saying, though, that while people see what's happening in the city centre, actually most of what we're doing is out and about in the communities of Leicester.
That's right.
We're just going to read this text message out. Although I appreciate what Peter is trying to do for the city in general, what my concern is our vulnerable people who are losing services left, right and centre. Can you answer that one for me?
Yeah, and it's a very, very, very valid point. I mean, the fact is that, we can do some positive things. We are doing some positive things. But actually the running costs of the council are being cut. And they're being cut because the government is taking away the grant that it used to give. And it's taking away much more from cities like Leicester than it is from a lot of the rural places, a lot of the wealthier places. And we are losing £150 million spending every year. So it means,
So do you have to...
And you don't save that by buying a few less paper clips.
No, but what... Okay, so let's say that money is needed and they're taking it. Surely you have to try and take some things to them where you say, look, this is what we actually... You can't take it.
And that is what we and other councils up and down the land have been doing. But the fact is, the government is determined to cut what councils are able to spend. And inevitably, no matter how hard you try to protect it, that actually has an impact on the services that the council provides generally, and particularly the ones it provides for the most vulnerable.
What would stop that? What do you, let's say you rallied the whole of Leicester up to march out in the streets and say, right, we're not having it. Would that actually make a difference or not make a difference?
You'd have to have marching with you all of the people of Birmingham, Liverpool, Derby, Nottingham, because they're all suffering as much as we are. And the fact is, when it comes down to it, it isn't any marches we have on the street that makes a difference. It's the votes at the ballot box. And the votes at the ballot box back in May, I may regret it, but it's a fact. The votes in the ballot box elected the present government. And with that mandate, that election, they're doing what they said they would do, and they're making the cuts they said they would make. And we have to try, as best we can, to protect the people of Leicester from it. But you can't entirely protect them from something as savage as £150 million a year.
We have a mountain of issues, Peter, and in 26 minutes we're not going to cover them all. We have a lot of things to discuss with you today, and I hope that we will continue after the show another time.
Well,
formally,
I really enjoy
put a forum together whereby we can address core issues in the community, because the one main issue right now nationally for us is this constant bashing of Islamophobia, where we all become victims of. Issues happen outside of England which we have nothing to do with, and we all get caught up in it. And our sisters out there, they start suffering because they wear the hijab, and all our community, our kids in the school are suffering. We can't get a job. We go for an interview. Your ethnicity is what determines if you get a job. And these are things. What I'd like to do to make it positive here for everybody, Peter, is how about we concentrate on what the Muslims contribute in this city economically? Economic empowerment is the way to success. Look at the Muslims, how many businesses we have here since we came here to Leicester. If we list out and we print these in the newspapers, nationally, locally.
It's the businesses, it's the professions in the city, it's every aspect of the life of the city has been enormously enriched.
And these stats are not talked about enough. How many Muslim doctors?
I know, but I can keep repeating it and do. And some of my colleagues keep repeating it and do. Isn't it? But it is very much a media thing. Although, as I say, to be fair, both Radio Leicester and the Mercury do try to give a balanced picture. How successful they are,
good question.
Yeah, it's a very good question. But I don't think it's want of trying in the case of either of them. But it is certainly the case, as you say, that particularly if you look at some of the businesses in Leicester. A lot of take a very obvious one. Many industries that we thought were dead in Leicester 30 years ago are seeing a revival. The textile industry, for example,
it went abroad and then it came back again.
We're seeing aspects of the textile industry being renewed. And a lot of those are entrepreneurs who brought entrepreneurial skills from elsewhere, whether it's from the subcontinent or from East Africa, and are now able to apply them very, very positively to Leicester's economy.
Well, they came here with nothing. All of us did. When we created something from nothing, and today that is everything. And not enough of that is advertised throughout the country and in Leicester, even amongst your team at the council.
Yeah,
when we need to educate them as well.
I think that's entirely right. But I was talking earlier on about Leicester being proud of itself. I don't think we've been good enough to recognise some of the successes we've got.
No,
here.
We're not.
And this is a very obvious one.
Do you find that people have gone within themselves, as in within areas and within?
No, actually. I was having a discussion recently. Somebody was talking about quite a while ago now about in some northern cities, communities living parallel lives.
Yeah.
Do you remember that discussion?
Yeah.
And I was talking recently with a group of people from a number of different communities, and I was talking about the extent to which that is or is not the case in Leicester. So of course, some communities sometimes for some things are do things as a community.
Yeah.
But it's remarkable in Leicester how much people actually do share. Whether it's in the workplace, whether it's in the shops, whether it's in the street, and often whether it's in celebrations of things, or in remembrance of things. People do come together in Leicester in a way that I don't think they do in all, or perhaps even many other cities.
Now, Peter, I've got only 2 more subjects. Then, obviously, I'm pushed for time, like yourself.
He's pushed.
We're pushed. We're respecting his time limits. Peter, we need 2 more things to discuss with you.
Right.
Locally, we think that a festival, a Ramadan festival, extensively throughout the city, to engage the whole wider communities. If the city council, you are the boss, Peter, you can make it happen, right?
Right.
The benefits of the benefits of this are vast. We spent millions on Richard III. He was long gone, Peter, right? We made some money out of it in Leicester. And the festival,
you can tell he's a businessman, can't you?
I'm not. No, do you know what? On the right side, though, do you know a positive point in what he's saying as far as the festival thing goes? Do you know what we need? We need the good beauty of like the carnival. The carnival brings in every colour, religion. It brings in everyone. Everyone comes to Victoria Park and they all mix together, and it's nice.
As does the Diwali festival.
But, I mean, it's not for me to tell
I was just using that as a
it's not for me to tell you what's appropriate. But Ramadan is a different sort of event. It's a time of reflection. It's a time of contemplation. It's a time of sacrifice. It's a time of rededication, and that is different from Carnival.
But
I don't need me to say that. Why do you know that?
Outside of Ramadan, now he's brought a good point there. Of Ramadan being last 10 days.
What happens at Eid is very different.
Eid is a celebration. That's what we're talking about.
I look forward to Eid. I look forward to Eid because my neighbours are Muslim, and I always get fed very, very well at Eid.
Now, talking about feeding, now we keep it positive, right?
Yes, I know.
Right now throughout the country, Muslims in every city are reaching out to the needy, the homeless, the single parents. Our largest growing population right now is the single parent industry, right? And Muslims are reaching out to every corner of the society, right?
And I've heard that theme repeatedly over the last couple of weeks here on Radio Ramadan,
and especially in the last 10 years.
That reaching out to those in need is again an important part of the theme of Ramadan.
This is what the media need to print every day.
I agree.
And put us in a positive light, because look at the recent. What we are all concerned about, the recent terrorism bill. These are issues that are affecting us, Peter, greatly, and they're breaking the fabric of society.
I agree, and there is that reaching out, but there's also just very local. I mean, I live right in this area, as you know, and on Sunday, I saw the numbers who were out, actually seeking to get support for charity and so on, just outside it. Absolutely, which is exactly what I did. And there is a very a very positive expression, a very obvious expression, of the concern for those who are in need. And I think if anybody needs to be convinced, and I hope most people in Leicester don't, but if anybody needs to be convinced of the realities of Islam, and the positives that it brings to our city, they only have to drive down Evington Road on a Sunday.
Well, they far outweigh the negative.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of what you see on the media.
Of course they do.
So, are you aware of the MEND organisation in the UK? MEND, MEND.
Tell me about it.
MEND is an organisation that was formed by a very learned brother in Bolton,
right?
And this was to lobby the government on issues that are affecting the Islamic community throughout England, and they're working extremely hard, reaching out to the media when they make mistakes, to get the government involved in this whole issue, to do everything in a very peaceful, democratic manner. And we are supporting them here, and we like what they're doing, and collectively the message is that we work together to put issues on the table, and this recent terrorism bill is one of the dilemmas and subjects that is effective. Anybody, Dawood here could go at the airport and they could take his passport away and throw it away, literally, because his name is Dawood.
Yes.
It's
actually,
as bad as
David
that.
on my passport. I'm all right. You're in trouble.
Yeah, you sure about that?
He's winding you up.
So, but but listeners out there, they know where we are coming from on this point. We like to keep it light-hearted as well. So
yes, of course.
we like to do that. So, Peter, please, on another day we can have a forum and discuss more issues.
I'd look forward to doing that. I really would.
And Peter, what are you doing in Churchgate? I hear some whispers in the council that they want to make Churchgate a good integral part of the Shires, extension to the Shires to make it a cultural area.
You know, we were talking earlier on about some of the things we've been doing in the city centre, and that shop window that is the city centre, and certainly one of the corners of that shop window that doesn't look as good as it should do is the Churchgate area, and it's very much down to the fact that we've got buses running through there at the minute. When we get the new bus station finished, we'll be able to take buses on a different route, and then we can bring Churchgate back up to the standard that we're now setting for the rest of the area.
Well, Peter, you wait for it. There is a city retreat setting up there.
So I hear,
present,
and
I
hear.
He built you up for that, didn't he?
He did. Yes. I was just going to say, I've got the answer here at Radio Ramadan. I have today picked up details of it,
Peter.
and I'm looking forward to accepting your invitation to visit.
This is a groundbreaking project.
Yeah.
And it will keep the character of the Dunham family there because they own that building. That was their first shop.
Oh, really?
After the market stall.
Yes.
That was their first shop. And to bring in all the international, like PepsiCo, Walker's Crisp.
I'm looking forward to coming to visit you.
So on. So the whole road, it really needs a facelift, you know, so it can become a cultural part of the city, leading to the Shires, you know. Modernity and cultural.
You're doing your bit down there.
We
I'm looking forward to doing my bit on the rest of the road.
I cannot do it, and Dawood can't do it on our own. We need to do it with you.
Okay.
There will be more blessing in the project if we do it together with you.
It's very persuasive, isn't it? It's very persuasive. I'm persuaded.
The key words here are together, everyone achieves more success.
That's absolutely true. And together, everyone achieves more success.
Unity and way forward.
Unity in the community, and thereafter, be the change you want to see in the world.
Yes.
So, Peter, we like to thank you for coming to the show today and join us.
I've got one last thing I'd like to ask Peter. Have you ever fasted a day?
Do you know, you're not the first person to ask
that.
Well,
Peter, I'm going to put a challenge to you for next week, one day.
But I live very near Masjid Umar, right? And you can imagine what happens
Peter,
as people are on their way to and from Masjid. What do they say to me? They say, Peter, we're fasting, why aren't you?
Peter, I think that next week you should fast one day and then come and break fast with us.
With us here, yeah. Have a go, Peter.
Just one day.
Detoxify.
I'm very, very, very challenged to take part in that.
Let's say, what, next Monday? Next Monday.
Have a go, Peter.
You've not looked at your timetable, I know you've not, so I'm putting it on you here.
Okay, I will look at my timetable, but I promise you, at some time in the future, I will certainly do it.
It's got to be next week.
It may not be next week.
It has to be next week.
Now, Peter, do you know the significance of the last 10 days of Ramadan? As some of your learned colleagues that you've known for many years, have they ever gone through them with you, explained to you? The last 10 days are very, very important. These are called the Nights of Power.
Yes.
And here, the Muslims, they spiritually advance. They do a lot of prayers, and they give a lot of charity during these last 10 days, because these are very important last 10 days. And we all focused in good and developing ourselves, further. So these are the last 10 days of Ramadan, Peter. So we are lucky to catch you on the first day.
Very good.
Yeah.
So
thank you very much to Peter Soulsby, brothers and sisters. We have been fortunate today to be having in the studio with...
I've only got one thing to say, and that
Peter
is to all of your listeners, Ramadan Mubarak, and when it comes, Eid Mubarak.
Jazakallah khair, brothers and sisters. We shall join you shortly. Thank you very much, Peter. Jazakallah khair.
Thank you very much indeed.